It's a sad yet exciting day here on Sicko Sundays, Sunday Sickos. Interchangeable words. Today is going to be our last big board draft on a Sunday, but that's also good news. The silver lining, we start jumping into the championship tournaments. So let's get into it one last time.
Three, two, one. Liftoff.
Good morning. Good morning. It is the last big board draft, as stated in the opening. That was basically flawless. I am exhausted. I stayed up and watched the UFC fights last night. Haven't stayed up and watched a UFC card in quite some time. And I'm old, so staying up that late on the East Coast was tough, but we made it through it. And I'm just going to go ahead and start sharing my screen now because if we get through this quick enough, then we'll do another of the NBA draft. So let's just jump right in at the moment. As we get into this big board draft, we only need 2 people, and we'll be firing up this big board. I don't know how many more entries I'm going to get into this tournament. I'm actually going to max the little board this time. So I got that going on. At the moment, I'm almost done with that. We get the 102 in this draft. And this is where I have to ask myself, do I want Jamar or do I want Bijan? And what we'll try to do real quick is log into our draft hacker because we haven't been home. And God, you would think I know what I'm doing here, right? But clearly I don't. What am I doing? Why am I losing my mind? Tired. Just so tired. All right. We have got everything all fixed as we get ready to draft. I would like to see my percentages. 25% on Jamar, 21% on Bijan right now. So let's only 4% on Justin Jefferson. I'm like fine with it for this tournament, but that's something I'm gonna have to address going forward. Let's grab Bijan. Let's bump this number up. Let's do Bijan at the 102. See what we can build out from there. But yeah, that's something that I'm going to have to figure out how I want to incorporate Justin Jefferson when we start going into these other tournaments. If I'm going to be doing this fade on CMC, I'm definitely going to be fading. God, I hate fading CMC. Oh, nice. Kevin's in here at the 5 spot. We got Rusty in here as well. I saw Moxie's in this draft. So very cool stuff. Glad you guys were able to get in. Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to workshop in my head is I'm probably going to do the full fade on CMC this year. I'm definitely doing it on Tyreek. I'm on the fence on how I want to play CD Lamb right now. But if I'm doing that, how do I make sure I'm still getting my Justin Jefferson? Probably. Rusty, you maxed it? Hells yeah. I'm not maxing it. There is just no chance for me to max it. I also like to. I don't know if for me personally, I don't know if I'll ever max the big board. I like to use this to start getting myself ready for the rest of the tournaments. I mean, which is clearly you're doing with the 150 as well. But for me, I'm trying to figure out how I want to really attack the future drafts with this, and that's why I lean into players a lot more in these tournaments, strategies a lot more, and occasionally I try new things as well. So generally the way that I play the big board. Oh, we got to get some music going. I knew it sounded something was off. That's going to be way too loud. Jesse has graced us with a new song that, if I can find it, I will throw it on here as well. Might have to do it next time. Might be able to get it though, but yeah. So I'm trying to work my way through how I'm going to be attacking those first 6 picks going into next. Well, probably end of the month, early May ish, when we get the main tournaments. So that's what I am personally working through. Anything interesting stand out here? And I also want Brees Hall a bit too, so that's another thing to incorporate there. Is even though I'm fading 2, possibly 3 guys, how do I manage the exposure? Because my brain wants me to take Bijan and Jamar Chase almost every time, like pull them up every time, and I gotta quell that dopamine hit. Neighbors already goes. Wow. All right, we're going to be coming back on the clock here after Wally. And I think the easiest thing to do here is to just double tap wide out. Let's grab DJ Moore, even though we have 17% DJ Moore with Bijan Robinson. Why not just grab a little bit more? Why not just completely lean into it? And let's grab Olave as well. That can't be right. I mean, I know I only have 7% Olave, but no Olave with Bijan or DJ Moore. All right, we'll take him. Cool. So we got that going. If I minimize this, are we good? Yes. All right. Let me play around in my settings real quick so that I can try to get some other stuff that I'm looking to get here. What is Debo's value without Ayuk? That is the $1 million question. I don't know if it changes overly dramatically, right? Like, I don't know. I don't think there's a huge increase for him. He's just so, like, they just play such different spots on the field, and I just think you kind of, maybe his target share goes up a little bit, but how much? I can't speak on it at the moment. I think the Ayuk absence would probably affect like George Kittle more. Kevin says he's not fading Neighbors, but seems crazy that he's starting to go in the second round. Was regularly getting him at the end of third just a couple weeks ago. Yeah, I see that thought. I think it's just people just trying to. I mean, he's getting pumped on certain shows. Rightfully so. He's starting to, at the beginning of the season, it was basically Marvin Harrison is this generational talent. Everyone's below him. And then people are like pumping the brakes on that a little bit and being like, well, actually, Neighbors is almost as good, if not as good, as Marvin Harrison. So like that's been getting put out into the atmosphere, into the subconscious of people. So he's starting to creep up the board. And when you already don't love that section, I mean, not that we don't love it, but it's after you hit Garrett Wilson, right? Those wide receivers, like from Marvin Harrison to, I don't know, Devonta Smith, feel same-ish. And it's like, well, bet on the talent, bet on the young talent. And maybe we go a little overboard with that sometimes. I think we go overboard. So, but I will take Neighbors now. I was smashing him in the little board which I don't even know how many little boards I need to finish. Let me see. I'll look it up on my phone. I got 4 more little board drafts to do, which I'll probably bang out by Tuesday or so. If we're gonna get through this quick enough, we'll do a NBA playoff best ball draft too. Trying to get a few more of those in before that locks in 6 days. So everything feels so loud today. Probably because I'm exhausted. It's probably not helping. So Hertz, Lamargo. We're sitting on Bijan, DJ Moore, and Chris Olave at the moment. Let's get our first Kelsey exposure. Another guy I'm trying to figure out what I want to do when we get to the main tournaments is Travis Kelsey. I just feel about him. Pickens going at the 4-12, and we'll grab Mahomes and just complete that stack. Wait, who do I not have Mahomes with? Oh, QB1. That makes sense. But we don't have him at all with Olave. This is going to be like a unique Olave team for us. So we'll grab Mahomes to complete this Travis Kelsey stack. So right now we have Mahomes, Bijan, DJ Moore, Chris Olave, Travis Kelsey, which is fun. Let's jump into the new song. I want to listen to it on stream. Shout out to Jesse for making new beats. Jesse, great at making beats. Terrible at naming them. Absolutely terrible at naming the beats. At some point, I need to go through and rename some of these. He likes to name them with a date. I made this beat on this date. Thanks, Jesse. Okay. That tight end run at the 4-5 turn. One McBride, we went Kelsey, Andrews, Kincaid going. Been doing a lot of double elite tight end. Yeah. Quote unquote bully tight end in these drafts as well. I wonder how much of that is going to carry over to the main season. I think quite a bit, honestly. I think I hate to harp on it. I did this last year with quarterbacks. And I think there's a conversation there as well. But I think there is going to be a lot of tight end discourse, or it's going to be overlooked. One of the two things. There's so much changing in that area of the drafts this year. And I've only heard others other than myself, and I'm not knocking anybody, but I just, from what I've heard, it's been like casual discourse, like, yeah, I'm doing double bully tight end. It's like, but never diving into why. And it's because that back end is just so goddamn bad. Last year, I was smashing late round tight end. I loved late round tight end last year. It's like, I never wanted to draft any of the early guys. But because we get that condensed version of the, you know, the elite of the elite tight ends moving down, everyone else moving up, you get that crunch. And we're getting that crunch. It's just the efficiency of drafting right now, where we are doing a much better job of putting these players where they theoretically need to go. I think there are outliers, of course, of people that you should be drafting like almost every time and people you should never be drafting. Cough, cough, Curtis Samuel, cough, 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 Curtis Samuel, Coffis Samuel, right? You guys are starting to move him into the 8th round. Insanity. Laid out that case on the show this past Monday. But I think that's insane. But in general, everything feels pretty good in terms of where people are going at the moment. And then we have the NFL draft. We shake everything up. Some people stick. Some people move heavily. Some people stop getting drafted. Some people move up draft boards. It will be very, very fun. I'm gonna be coming back on the clock here. With a bunch of guys that we have 0% of. That David Montgomery 0% feels wrong. I feel like I've drafted David Montgomery some. God damn it. I don't know what I want to do here. I'm just gonna fall into the trap of grabbing more Chris Godwin and going from there. I think I'm gonna grab Godwin, and I think, let's grab Godwin. Let's grab DeAndre Swift to go with DJ Moore. Let's do that. So team at the moment: Bijan, DJ Moore, Chris Olave, Travis Kelce, stacked with Patrick Mahomes, Chris Godwin, DeAndre Swift to get that Chicago Bears situation going. Only 3 wide receivers through 7 rounds is not my favorite play usually, but I think we can dig out of this wide receiver hole that we're going to be in. I think we can make things happen. This is also part of the reason why, like, as much as I love Bijan, it feels better, but I usually kick, RB to the 7th round. If I'm starting with wide receiver, I don't really grab a lot of those 2nd to 6th round running backs. So theoretically, it might just be better for me to do these hero RB builds with Bijan. And obviously the exceptions on there too is Breece Hall, and sometimes this 11-12 spot, I'll grab Kyron or Jahmyr Gibbs. I feel like your last name shouldn't end with an S. Like, in terms of, like, sounding plural. Like, the word Swiss, like, if that's your last name, that's fine. But if you're just adding an S, like, if it was Swifts, right? Stupid. Gibbs, stupid. Or other stupid S last names. Do any more in the draft? Hopkins, stupid. It should just be Hopkins, right? Hopkins is stupid when you think about it. This is what we do on Sundays. We think of Mahomes is stupid, right? Like Andrews, dumb. Why are we adding S's? I don't like it. Williams, dumb. I don't like it. I don't like adding S. Evans, stupid. Neighbor, yep. Should just be neighbor, not neighbors. What are we doing here? Who decided on that in the English language? Just add an S to the name. It'll be a last name. I don't like it. Douglas doesn't sound plural though. Touch of green. Like Douglas sounds like the S is part of that. Like Williams was clearly derivative off the name William, and somebody was like, I'm gonna name my family's last name after my name. I am William Williams. Right? And he just threw an S and he's like, well, all of my family are Williams. Douglas is part of the name. It's like his name wasn't Doug Law. My name is Douglas. We are getting to that point in the draft that it's quite gross. not gonna lie, guys. You give me Ramondre here, I am gonna take that shot. I know Wally's gonna take Ramondre, but like if you were to let him fall to me, 100% of the time I'm taking Ramondre here at the end of the 8th round. For sure. See, I knew we weren't gonna get him. But that's okay. Because we're gonna grab Cortland Sutton. Imagine taking Curtis Samuel above Cortland Sutton or Romeo Dobbs. Just insanity to me. Absolute nightmare situation. Unable to come back from. And we do have some QBs falling in this draft, which is slightly unfortunate because I would love to take Jordan Love or Kyler Murray here, but I've just set the Chicago thing up, and this is one of the teams that if I'm setting up that situation, I do want the quarterback. So we're just going to go ahead and grab Caleb right now to go as our second QB. Have Mahomes and Caleb Williams here. That's something else I want to talk about at some point, is I think people get stressed out in those situations, especially like with the quarterback, but I think it happens with all positions where you're on the board, you've set your team up to be a certain way, and you're sitting there with that Chicago stack, and Kyler Murray has fallen like 6 picks, and in order to take Caleb Williams, you have to move him up 6 picks. I think people's brains break in that spot, and they're like, but I can't draft Caleb Williams before I draft Kyler Murray, right? Like, I think that goes through people's heads, and I think we all have a little bit of that, and that's what makes the big board and the little board absolutely like the perfect draft to make sure that you're able to start doing that, right? I know it sounds silly, but I guarantee you it is a mental thing where you're like, I cannot draft this guy before this guy, no matter what. I actually watched it happen the other day. God, who was it? This guy had set up like this team stack. I think it was actually a Houston double. And I know like we don't always have to draft the quarterback, but because Lamar fell, the guy grabbed Lamar instead of grabbing Stroud. And is it like worst case scenario? Of course not. But you could clearly tell what the guy was trying to do with his team. And I think his brain broke when it came back around, and it wasn't that Mahomes and CJ Stroud pairing, but also Lamar, and their brain just broke, and they were like, well, I guess I got to get Lamar because he fell 8 picks or whatever. And it's like, dude, you don't have to. You can still get the team that you were building. Not the greatest like situation, but I think it's even more prevalent in the back end here because that position can fall sometimes, and people just like Joe Burrow's a good one, right? Like you're setting up this, I don't know, you're setting up this Dallas situation. You have CeeDee Lamb, and you're like, you have none of the Bengals, but because Joe Burrow falls around, you're like, oh man, I got to get that Joe Burrow value. No, you don't. You don't have to do anything. You are an adult. You better be an adult, and you can continue to build your team. Yeah, it sucks. It would have been nice to get that value on that player, but at the same time, we're trying to build winning lineups. So I have both. Patrick Mahomes says, Beaker. Yes. We have a brand, and we stay on brand. Here's what happens. We are going to be coming up on the clock in a few picks here with our 2241 build. Don't hate the way things are breaking for us right now. Like the build at the moment. All the guys we want to take are flying off the board, so we love that. That is just the situation we were looking for. Wally has grabbed every player that we've wanted to get. going forward, but I don't think he's going to grab who I want here. I have an idea of where I'd like to go. I don't think Wally will be grabbing him. We're not going to tip our hand, though. So he grabs Tua, which we're obviously not grabbing another quarterback. I like Singletary here, but we're going to do some scrolling and some vomiting, apparently. Jesus. Don't love any of these tight end situations. So let's grab Singletary. I have no Jerry Jeudy. I don't love the Jeudy play. But you know what? Let's get a share. Let's try to force ourselves. Oh, I forgot that I'm not doing the double. I thought I was taking the double pick. Well, let's watch Zabs take Jerry Jeudy from us. God damn it. All right, whatever. That was a setup. You failed. We're going to grab Keon Coleman. Actually, let's grab Charbonnet. Let's get uncomfortable with our wide receivers. Let's get a little uncomfortable at wide receiver for this draft. I've been trying to get more Charbonnet. I still like Kenneth Walker better overall than Charbonnet, but I think, that is a clearly defined backfield in terms of we know who the two guys are, at least. At the moment, the draft could, throw us curveballs that we just never expected. But I like having Charbonnet, and I feel like this range a lot of the time is feeling like that oh shit moment of the draft where you go to that next level of wide receivers and you're like, well, it's starting to get bleak and I need to get my fifth, sixth wide receiver in order to feel good about the rest of this draft. And I kind of overlook Charbonnet sometimes. So I'm going to grab him. Yeah, I'm not taking Chubb this year, Kevin. Kevin says that Chubb scares him, but 125 is the earliest that he'll take him. I get one on the upside, but Nick Chubb is how old now? He's 28. He'll be 29 this year. That injury was gruesome. I think it was a multiple surgery injury. And I just don't love it. I don't love it for Nick Chubb, which sucks because I really like Nick Chubb as a player. But I think I don't see myself drafting Nick Chubb ever again in terms of fantasy stuff. He's going to have to drop tremendously in order for me to get him. And that goes into next year. It's like, okay, well, now he's on year 2 after the injury, but he's going to be turning 30. Tons of miles on him, right? I just think that Nick Chubb was a ton of fun to watch, but he's up there in age. I think I'm done. I think I'm just done with Nick Chubb. I think he's just a name that I'm going to, it's just a black box for me, just not touching that box on drafts. That sounded so bad. But we're going to be okay. We're all adults. We can get by it. We can get through it together. We are stronger together. We're going to be on the clock here again in a second for our 12th and 13th round picks. Anyone do anything fun this weekend that we can talk about after we make our picks? All right, do we just want to get Kmet here and just overstack these Chicago Bears? It's a big faller. My eyes went to Musgrave. But let's grab Kmet. Actually, yeah, let's grab Kmet. I like Komet, and then I'm gonna draft a guy that I haven't drafted yet. We're gonna bet on the Jahan Dotson bounce back year. Haven't drafted Dotson at all. Been real light on him. Let's grab him for the bounce back year. Not a guy that I'm going to be overweight on by any means, but I probably shouldn't be at 0% on Dotson. So this is probably the right team to work him into. What have I done this weekend? So I drove back from the Bronx Friday. Me, unpacked laundry, of course, because I have to go back to the Bronx on Monday for the third week in a row. Garbage. Yeah, just a bunch of video editing stuff. That's what I'm doing all day today. I've been catching episodes of Fallout, though, in between this week. And I usually don't make time for TV shows, but I'm really enjoying Fallout. So any little bit that I can watch Fallout and do something else as well, I've been doing. I think anybody could watch it in terms of like content. You don't have to have had played the games by any means. I think they do a great job of interweaving their like a new story, but throwing tidbits in for fans of the game. Like they're more so Easter eggs and nothing that's going to hinder you from watching the show by any means. And Walter Goggins is great as always. Just phenomenal casting with Walter Goggins on that show. So if you are looking for something to watch, Fallout. I'm 4 or 5 episodes in. I think I've watched 5. It's a lot of fun. Webby at the 12 spot goes quarterback, all in a row. Did he have any QBs before? I like it. He did not, so he went just firing the late round QB stuff, which is fun. So if you're going to do it, that's probably one of the right ways to do it. He does it with Stafford, Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson. It's a good solid 3 QB room, I would say. Does he have stacks for them at the moment? He's got Cooper Kupp. He's got Gibbs, and he's got Kyron. So yeah, I like it. Pretty good late QB setup from him. Braylon Allen goes in the 14th round. We got a 2-4-5-2 build coming up for our next 2 picks. Levis is like my favorite late round QB right now. Well, one of my 2 favorite. I like Penix too. I like grabbing Michael Penix Jr. late. Won't be doing it on this team, but he's a guy I want to make sure that I have some of because once he gets drafted, I think he moves up a minimum of a round, right? Like we talk about this with free agents. As soon as they go to a landing spot, they're going to move up. I think that is also the case for rookies, of course. We're gonna have Malachi Corley here because we are have a heavy position on Corley, so we're just gonna keep that going. That is who I wanted to make sure I got, just in case Zabs decided to get a little wild here. Although he has 7 wide receivers, I doubt he would have went there. But of all the wide receivers that are left, he's the one that I liked the best, so I made sure we grabbed him. I don't think I want to add any more Bears to this team, so we're going to leave Khalil Herbert there. And let's grab some Jalen Poke. Because of our Corley exposure, we lose out on Poke quite a bit. So let's grab him. So the team as stands: Mahomes and Caleb Williams, Bijan, DeAndre Swift, Devin Singletary, Zach Charbonnet, DJ Moore, Chris Olave, Chris Godwin, Cortland Sutton, Jahan Dotson, Malachi Corley, Jalen Polk, and Travis Kelce and Cole Kmet. Very nervous about Kelce. And even though you're investing so much draft capital, and this is part of the reason why I'm going to be really tough on drafting him come these main tournaments, is like even with Kelce and Kmet, I'm like, ugh, do I actually want to add another tight end? And I like sort of feel like I do. It's not a slam dunk that I will, but God, I feel uneasy. Here's what I will say. So we'll gander at it. We'll see what's available. And we'll assess the tight end situation going forward. But that's why I haven't been taking a lot of Kelce. I've gotten him a bit in the little board, but overall, I just haven't been very high on him. Oh, this is a new song again. That's fine. We're getting ready to start over anyways. Hello, Gotham. The doggo has joined me. You can't see him though, but he's here. And he is mostly husky. For those of you who don't know what my dog is, he's mostly husky and part Pomeranian, and he has started to blow his coat, which means I can brush him as much as I want. It's still a nightmare for the next month. Hair everywhere. It's okay, because he's the best. He is a good boy. And he's been very understanding of me not being here for coming up on 3 weeks. And then, we will not have a Sunday Sicko show next week. Main reason, I just won't be here. I have to go. I get back from the Bronx on Friday night, and then Saturday morning, I have to drive to a town very close to Buffalo. So I got a 7-hour drive on Saturday after getting back from New York City. Woe is me. But I have to go do an investigation at a haunted house. So no Sunday Sicko show next week. I don't even know what tournaments are going to be open next Sunday to begin with. I know this tournament's pretty close to full. I'm going to be done with the little board at that point. So wouldn't be able to probably get in on any of that. So probably worked out for the best. And then the following Sunday, we might have some bigger tournaments dropping. No insider information on that, but with the draft being wrapped up. What is the least haunted state, KZ says? Let me think about it while we make our 2 picks, and I'll go on my little rant about least and most haunted. And then we'll try to think about the least haunted states. All right, so we're back on the clock. We're going to grab some Bucky Irving here. And then, is there any tight end that we do want here? We don't want Conklin. We don't want Chig. I do kind of like Gesicki in Cincy, clearly. Look at all this bullshit that we have. See what Zabs does here with his second pick at the turn. He grabs Conklin. Let's grab Gesicki. I think just upside on Gesicki is fine for this team. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to grab Gesicki. Usually when I have an elite tight end, I don't do a 3 tight end build, but Kelce makes things very tough to want to just go in there with him and Komet. So at least haunted state. So my first thing is I hate when people are like, this is the most haunted place. It's like, there's no levels to determine it, right? There's no stats at all. So with that being said, I would say which place has the most haunted locations, which places have the most activity. I think if you're talking in terms of that, you have to start looking at population settled, right? So your Montanas, your Dakotas are tougher. When I'm looking up states, because when we do our show, we try to find one town in either a state or somewhere in any country and look it up. And there's certain states that we haven't covered yet. One of them that's weird is I think the only state we haven't covered so far is Delaware, but there's enough there. But it was a struggle to get together a North or South Dakota. Well, South Dakota had Deadwood, but after that, it gets really difficult. So you're talking about like population and stuff like that. So you start getting into those Midwest states, it's a little bit more difficult. The Northeast seems to have a lot more hauntings than other places, but one state that is very heavily active from what we see is, believe it or not, Ohio. So we get a lot of Ohio situations going on. So hopefully that answers your question. I know it doesn't count, like go down to one state, but maybe like North Dakota, something like that. I can't say Iowa just because Villisca's in Iowa. Maybe Wyoming. Yeah, well, that's the other problem is Casey says he was thinking less populous. Then you get into all the wars battles, which is absolutely true. And just the living history on places like that. And we don't know who lived there beforehand. We don't have documentation of, early Native American tribes and exactly where they were staying, where they were living for the most part, what happened in those times. We only can guess sometimes. So it's tough to say. Because let's get into our picks. we can jump into this a little more if we want. Let's grab Lob, Lube, Labal, and what do we want to do here? Probably another wide out. Go with this Tampa stack without the quarterback, like that. So we grab Trey Palmer. I got one more pick coming up. Yeah, and I think that's a great point, Casey. And not to turn this into hometown ghost stories, but people, when a house is haunted, people look for the history of the house, which is actually exactly some of the situation going on with the house we're about to go to. I mean, I'll drop it on straight. We're going to the Hinsdale house. If you're looking for a house to look up, the story there is crazy. But we're going to the Hinsdale house, and they don't know exactly what happened there, but a lot of it isn't just the house, it's the area. So like the history of the area of that place doesn't mean that it has to center at the house. And then you're talking about like stuff that happened in the area. It gets wild, and people try to box things in. They try to box things into being one place, which we try to do with everything, not just hauntings, just human nature. And you're also going to experience more of that stuff in a house than you are the woods. And the woods, you're going to be more skeptical because you're like, your brain is always going to, this is a squirrel, this is that, there's more outside elements. So your brain goes to that for the woods. And when you're in the house, you're like, okay, let me research what happened at this house. And you're not always researching the area. And you're not always able to research the area, which is not easy for us sometimes. So hopefully that answers those questions. But if you're into that stuff, highly encourage popping into one of our shows. We do them live on Tuesday nights, but you can catch all the replays. And very cool for us is over on Spotify, our videos, we are now a video podcast on Spotify. We're one of the few shows that has had that opportunity. So if you go to Spotify, you play one of the, starting with the newest episode. We didn't upload all the videos for the past episodes, but starting this past Tuesday. So the Tuesday and Friday episodes are video over on the Spotify app, which is very cool. Very proud of being able to be one of those, handful of shows to start that. Joe Rogan was the first, obviously the biggest, but to be on that list is very cool. It's still not available for everybody at the moment. We're going to be getting into our 20th round pick here. We have a 2683 build. This is a team. Our running backs are Bijan, DeAndre Swift, Devin Singletary, Zach Charbonnet, Bucky Irving, and Dylan Lobb. That I'd be fine going into battle with those six running backs. And if we think that a wide receiver is the best pick here, I have no problem taking a wide receiver. So we're going to see what's available, and we'll go from there when we're up for that pick. Then we'll go over our team, and we'll jump right into an NBA dance draft. I think that they dropped the ball a little bit with the marketing on that tournament. They kind of have had it hidden, and I wasn't going to enter. I'm still not like maxing it or anything, but I was going to just leave it at like 5 to 10, and I'm creeping up over that number now. I'm over 10 in that, but I want to get a few more teams in there. I'm going to be on the clock next. We do not love the draft board. Let's grab Thrash. Jamari Thrash on this team. And that's going to wrap this team up for us, where we have Mahomes, Caleb Williams, Bijan, DeAndre Swift, Devin Singletary, Zach Charbonnet, Bucky Irving, Dylan Lobb. Sorry, we got cut off there. So Dylan Lobb, so that's our running backs. Wide receiver, DJ Moore, Chris Olave, Chris Godwin, Cortland Sutton, Jahan Dotson, Malachi Corley, Jalen Polk, Trey Palmer, Jamari Thrash. Tight ends are Kelsey, Komet, and Gesicki. Solid team, I think. I think we did decent. Conspiracy theory. Ben Gretch and Eric Beinfer are the same person. Have you done a show on that? We could probably expose that at some point. We got to see. And that's why that quote unquote Ben Gretch claims that he lives in Washington. So, he can't draft because it's actually Eric Beinfer drafting, right? So he only has the 150, and so that he doesn't break rules. One of those alter egos cannot draft. So that's part one of that conspiracy theory, right? So I'm with you. We're gonna have to do that at some point. So this is my point, right? Like when you click on the NBA tab here, it just goes to the daily stuff, and you have to switch it to the playoff tab. So we're going to jump in this NBA one. It's only 42% full. Locks on the 20th. It'll fill a bit more, but I don't think it's going to max. I don't think it's going to fill. So let's jump into an NBA one. I haven't uploaded my NBA team, so we're not going to see our percentages. And we get the 102. We get a Tatum team, probably. If not, we get a Jokic team, so we'll be fine with either. It's funny, we complained about not getting the 102, and then I just been getting blasted with 102s. I love it. Although it is hard to build out Jason Tatum teams. You're in a tough spot because Brown and Porzingis are always gone. So Kevin said it was a fun draft, feeling good about it. Worst part is having to wait 5 months to see if it's actually good. Worst part is waiting 8 months to see if you actually get paid. It's okay. It's investing. Rusty said good draft all. Yep. Why does Eric turn these on? I didn't even realize that it was on. We don't need our name shown, right? Everyone knows who we are at this point. Shut that off. 50 minutes into the stream. All right, Gator Heels is on the clock. I mean, he has a tough decision here. Do you take Nikolai Jokic or do you take Nikolai Jokic, right? Like, what do you do at the 101? Tough decision. We're just going to grab Jason Tatum. Because he is the second best player in this draft overall, and because we are a Boston homer. So we are not going to let Tatum fall past us, ever. We got Gator Heels in this draft, Mets, Golets, Papa Shola, Bark, and Pavberry. So I don't recognize any of those names. Quite a few badges. We got some goat horns. So hopefully we can put together a good draft here. Seems like we're in here with some other crushers. And me, myself, I am not a crusher in the basketball streets by any means. More for fun, more to have some sweat in the NBA playoffs. And for some of the reason we just talked about, at least I get, return. Like, you get some money return a little bit quicker if you win anything. You don't have to wait till January. So. Jaylen Brown got bumped up to the 103. Then we see Luka go. SGA. Is that what they call him? Do they call Alexander SGA? Because nobody wants to say that full name. Joel Embiid got bumped up in these drafts. He was going like third, fourth round when I started doing them. And I knew I should have just been like smashing Embiid at that point. And I think I did it like once. And as I was drafting, I'm like, these are the exploitation spots that we're supposed to be taking in drafts, and I just didn't do it enough. Again, not that I did a lot of drafts, but I recognized it and didn't do it. So that was bad. And you don't do it because your brain goes into wanting to build out this finals team. But sometimes I think you have to build out the finals teams with the back end stuff. So as expected, we do see things that we thought were going to happen. So what we're going to do here is we're going to grab Derek White. How do I want to play this? All right, so we're going to grab Derek White. Chet was a thought, but I think we're going to grab Aaron Gordon next. We'll do our best to build out what we can with a Boston-Denver final. I think we're going to be able to do it. I think we can just squeeze this out if we're lucky. Let's check out the new song again. All right, so we got 2 Boston and a Denver right now. But I also think this is part of the problem with drafting these Boston-Denver teams is like, I know it's 2 out of 6 events out of the first round, but if they just sweep, man, it's just so tough to get these teams through. That's why I'm talking about building them out with the back end guys, but you get so worried about it. You're like, oh, I don't know if I can just do it with Peyton Pritchard. What if somebody else gets a much better Boston squad through? And meanwhile, you didn't draft someone like Kevin Durant that gets you 2 to 3 rounds of just like insane value to pull your team through. So it makes it a little tough. You got 2 picks coming up here. See Michael Porter go. We would have grabbed Porter probably. Shit, I wanted to grab Damian Lillard there. I thought Lillard would have been great to have with Derek White as our other guard. I think we're going to grab Durant. I think that's how I want to play this. I also, now that I'm thinking about it, pulling Durant up feels smart. Why did you grab Horford? He's grabbing 4 bigs. Come on, dude. I was pushing Horford because he already had 2 bigs. What are we doing? Ugh. That fucking sucks. That is bonkers. We're gonna grab Davis as like a big that can hopefully get us through a few rounds. What's going on, Versier? Dude, what is this team? Why did you? So he's trying to build it out. I can see what he's doing. He's building, but why would you draft Horford is the problem. I don't understand why we would draft Horford. Like if you're building out Boston and then your bringbacks are going to be the Western Conference bigs, and he has Jokic too. I don't understand. I don't understand. It just feels like I want to get through the first round draft to me, but to each their own. I also don't know enough about basketball to like really go on an insane rant about it. But Jokic is already filling one of those spots, like, and you're just one of those other guys. I don't know. Whatevs. Whatevs. Do your thing. We'll figure it out. We will figure it out. I have some ideas of how to play this a little bit. We got 5 picks left. 2 Celtics. We have a Laker, a Phoenix Sun, and a Denver Nugget. I think if we grab... Here's what we're going to do. We're going to grab KCP first. Because he can't grab Booker. I mean, he can do whatever he wants. Clearly, he's done that. But he was probably going to grab KCP based on having Jokic. So if we grab that for our Denver player, we're going to grab Booker now. Is going to be the play. We have 3 guards. We have 3 wings. 3 really good wings. Our guards are suspect a little bit, but with Booker in the first round, could be okay. Anthony Davis has a big. We have 3 picks left. We got to figure out this big situation, which I think we can do. I think we have some plays here. 3 picks left. Three picks left. Okay. We're on the clock. God damn it. I know I want to grab Nurkic because we're already making we backdoor betted on. But let's grab LeBron first to go with our Lakers bet with Anthony Davis here in the 8th round. And then if we grab Nurkic, right, as our second big, we have Davis and Nurkic. We have 2 Denver. We have 3 Celtics. 2 Celtics. We can field. Okay. I have ideas. We're not going to love this last pick, but it's just going to be to try to. So Nurkic. Who's left for Denver? Yeah. We don't love any of this, but I think the only play here, which really blows, is we're just going to go with Tillman, which I don't think he'll do anything, but we'll grab Tillman in case we need him for the finals with the Denver stack, but we get Boston with the other two stacks anyways, so that's just insurance. We need Anthony Davis and Nurkic to do something. So the overall team is Derek White, KCP, Devin Booker, Jason Tatum, Aaron Gordon, Kevin Durant, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Jusuf Nurkic, and Xavier Tillman. So we can do a Boston-Denver final, a Boston-Lakers final, and a Boston-Phoenix final. So played it through Boston, got 3 comebacks. It's fine. I think it could have been better if that guy didn't grab 4 bigs, but that's part of drafting. Got 12 teams in there right now. Let's look at our exposure, shall we? So Peyton Pritchard, we got, for some reason, it's only showing 10 of our teams. Let's refresh. Now we got 12. Kevin Durant on 50%. I like Durant where he's going. I think he's just an advanced guy for you. I don't think Phoenix makes the finals, but Durant can get through 3 rounds. I think he's a great advanced guy to help pull your teams through. So that's why I have so much of him. Got a lot of Boston. Got a lot of Chet Holmgren here. Got up to 33%. Jason Tatum after starting like 0 for 7, I think. 0 for 7, 0 for 8. So I think the exposure is fine. I think we're going to have a good NBA Finals. Anyways, that's going to do it for me. Again, next Sunday, we will not be here. We will be back tomorrow night. Myself and Eric. We'll be hanging out. We'll be doing a draft after doing our debate last week. So we'll catch you next time. Later, guys. Peace. Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? You turn notifications on. We draft a team. Boom. You know about it. We have another spicy take. Boom, you know about it. You can be there. You can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.